You know, Xbox Game Pass has a lot of positives to it, but my favourite has to be how it introduces me to tons of weird and wonderful games that I never even knew I'd be into. And across the second half of January and into early Feb, there are a few new titles joining the service that I think will really impress and delight Xbox gamers across a variety of smaller indie titles and some bigger AAA day one games dropping in as well. Plus, one of Phil Spencer's favourite games of last year is actually joining Game Pass at long last, but more on that one later. First, let's check out Turnip Boy. If you're a Payday fan who's looking for a plant-based alternative, then look no further than Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. This one's hitting Game Pass for console, cloud, and PC on the 18th, and it's a top-down 2D adventure that sees Turnip Boy teaming up with the notorious Pickle Gang to rob the Botanical Bank. There are loads of different tools for you to break in with, everything from diamond pickaxes to good old-fashioned C4, plus a bunch of different weapons to fight your way back out when Plan A inevitably fails. It's actually such a shame because I'm sure he was such an innocent little turnip boy as well before the whole tax evasion and bank robbing stuff. Oh, how the vegetables have turned. But every good bank robbery needs a getaway vehicle, and on January 18th, Game Pass Ultimate members can start their engines in F123 thanks to EA Play. This is a cutting-edge racing sim that features driving physics that have been totally overhauled and a slick new UI to make it more accessible than ever. Basically, Formula 1 racing has never looked or felt better, especially on Xbox Series X, where ray tracing, 4K Ultra HD, and spatial sound combine to take the whole experience up a gear. The game also features both local and online multiplayer, so you can lap your local buddies and the ones who live a little bit further away. Honestly, with F123, Forza Horizon 5, and Forza Motorsport, Game Pass really is the place to be for true gearheads. But I want to know, what is your favourite racing title? Let us know down in the comments. As someone who started off my gaming career with a well-known monster catching game way back in the 90s, I'm really intrigued by this next game, which is dropping day one onto Game Pass on January 19th. It's called Power World, and it looks exactly like those sort of monster catching cartoons and games that you loved as a kid, only not. As you'd expect, Power World allows you to explore a vast, monster-filled world as you capture different creatures, battle them against each other, and trade them with your mates. But some of the other options you have in this game are a little bit more unconventional, let's say. You know, like cooking them and eating them, or shooting them with guns, or forcing them to work in your factory. Yeah, it's a bit brutal, bit dark, but kind of hilarious. At the very least, it's a fresh new spin on the genre, and it opens up the kind of gameplay possibilities that we'd never dared dream of. On January 25th, Game Pass is rolling out another day one release called Go Mecha Ball. This twin-stick shooter puts players in a mech that can stomp around shooting things or roll itself up and go pinballing all over the place. So you've actually got loads of different ways to absolutely wreck your enemies. And as you smash your way through the game's funky, futuristic levels, you'll have the opportunity to hone your playstyles by using over 25 different weapons, 20-odd devastating abilities, and a whole mess of unlockable mech upgrades. It's Gundam gone mad, if it could get any madder. But if you do encounter a new bit of gear that you're just not entirely sure about, well, just roll with it, mate. This might actually be a first for Game Pass, but would you believe me if I told you that Turnip Boy Robs a Bank isn't the only action-packed game starring a root vegetable that's coming to Game Pass in a single month? Because somehow it's not. Brotato is a top-down arena shooter in the mold of Vampire Survivors, where players have to hold out for as long as possible against wave after wave after wave of enemies. And to help them stay alive, they can pick up hundreds of different weapons, wielding up to 6 at a time as they try to even the odds. And if you need to be sold even more, Phil Spencer himself absolutely loves this game.
I'm playing Brotato. Have you played Brotato?
This is also the first I've heard of it, so please tell me more.
With rapid-fire enemy waves and runs that last about 30 minutes, Brotato has the sort of game loop that's sure to have you coming back for more of that delicious potatoey action. Speaking of which, what's the best way to eat a potato? I do love a curly fry myself. Anyway, how about a game that revolutionized an entire series, raised the bar for a whole genre, and made a whole lot of gamers really happy? Persona 3 is returning in gloriously rebuilt form on February 2nd. It's half social sim, half dungeon crawling JRPG, and all awesome. It's Persona 3 and it stars a group of high school students who discover a strange secret hour that occurs between one day and the next. It features a rich, mysterious story filled with unforgettable characters for the player to bond with, and oh, so many weird monsters for them to battle against. With Persona 3 Reload, you really do get everything that was great about the classic title, along with all the gorgeous visual upgrades and modernizations that came later in the series. I reckon we got time for one more, so how about this? On February 6th, we've got the magical adventure known as Anuchard. This top-down adventure takes place in a kingdom that used to be wonderful, but has now fallen on hard times. Hard, monster-filled times. Sounds familiar. Only you and your magic bell can save it by using that big old clanking thing to bash your enemies around and even solve puzzles. But there's more to this adventure than just bashing stuff with bells. You'll also get to revive other villagers and bring them home so that they can farm, cook, and do all sorts of other helpful villager stuff. Nice. Well, that's a wrap for January and a little bit of February, but make sure that you subscribe to hear about all the other awesome titles coming to Game Pass over the rest of the year. Bye!